defending the free market, and making the moral case for capitalism. The Justin Moore Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Justin Moore Show, where we make sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it has been so crazy, and our thoughts and prayers are going out there to the people of Houston, and now we have the new Hurricane Irma hitting Florida. I mean, it's just, these are the biggest storms we've had in 12 years. Houston, over 2 million people affected, over 50 inches of rain. I mean, that is crazy. And people's lives just changed in just a matter of days. Completely different things you really cared about before the storm, and then now you're just trying to survive. Your house has been destroyed. I mean, I can't imagine going through that. But depending on where you live, we all have our own natural disasters, like here in Montana. We've had a lot of fires this season. For the last several weeks, perhaps the last month, I see smoke in the air every single day. And it looks like I'm in frickin' Beijing, China, living by the bird's nest, people with all the smog out there. That is how it's been around here. We have so many forest fires going on around the state. A lot of people are saying that it's the worst that's ever been around here since 1988, which is the horrible fire season. And the only way the fires were put out was when the snow came. And so it looks like that's the way it's going to happen this year. So depending on where you live, you're in the Midwest, you got to deal with tornadoes. So we all have our own natural disasters to deal with. And it's just horrible what's going on right now in Houston. And this really brings to mind and actually, when I'm talking in today's episode, I don't want this to come across as callous, so I'm kind of pointing out the politics and the economics of a natural disaster, because it is really horrible what's going on. But it's just another way to look at this, and it's a learning opportunity and what we can try to gather from this. And actually, I should say one more thing here before I get started. Actually, the end of September here, I plan on going to Cuba. I've already booked the 4-day cruise with my brother and his wife. We're going to go because I, take advantage of my buddy passes and that sort of thing. And I thought it'd just be neat to go to Cuba and just to be witness. There's always the stories when you go to Cuba. They have all those cars from the 50s and 60s. It's like you're time warped, to way back in the day, just because, communism in Cuba, those guys don't have money. They can't afford to buy new cars every other year like we do here in the United States. Well, I guess a lot of people that buy cars around here really shouldn't have been buying cars in the first place. And they're, paying minimums on their credit cards. And, heck, the American dream, keeping up with the Joneses. But no, in Cuba, they don't have money. So they just have to keep fixing what they got. They just got to keep going. Hitting the million-mile mark on your car, which most people can't break 200,000. But anyway, when I'm going on this cruise to Cuba, well, I'm hoping I'll be able to go on it. With this latest hurricane taking place now, it's going around, Miami, Cuba. It's right in that area. So I'm hoping there's not going to be a hurricane in the area when I go. It still is hurricane season, September, October, I think all the way up through November, middle of November, beginning of November, something like that. So I'm hoping nothing happens there, because it really would just be neat just to go to Cuba, especially before it gets, way too touristy. And I remember telling you guys this months ago on my show when I first started working for United Airlines part-time. A big reason I got the job, I want to take advantage of the flying benefits. You learn so much from traveling around the world and witnessing things firsthand for yourself. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what I'm doing going on that Cuba cruise. I really don't have that much time. Every day I'm here, in Montana, I'm working, but, I make up for that and I travel, and it's my time to learn. And it gives me an ability to bring a unique perspective to what I'm talking about on my show. And so I think it's well worth it. It just adds that value. But anyway, guys, I want to jump here. I have a few articles I kind of read through, and I found some interesting things. Just a variety of sources, like, for instance, history.com. They're kind of talking about hurricanes. And let me just read here, and just to kind of put this in perspective with Hurricane Katrina. And it says, up until 2017, Hurricane Katrina was the most expensive natural disaster in U.S. history. After the storm devastated New Orleans in 2005, the federal government spent $120.5 billion to help the city and other affected areas recover. Roughly $150 billion in 2017 dollars. Most of the aid went toward emergency relief, with less than half going towards rebuilding the city. Although many structures like levees and schools have been repaired, more than 1 million people in the Gulf Coast were displaced. Okay, you guys remember when Hurricane Katrina hit, they filled up buses of people, and you guys realize, I never hear this mentioned anywhere in the media, but there were busloads of people that left and fled New Orleans because their houses were destroyed. And you know where they got moved to? They moved to Houston. So now here's these same poor people, who knows, they probably got taken out again. And it's like, man, you probably just trying to get your feet back on the ground 12 years, and now you're taken out by another storm, 50 inches of rain. So it's just a horrible situation to live through twice. But so here we have Hurricane Katrina. That was the most expensive natural disaster in U.S. history. And you look at it, inflation adjusted, 2017 dollars, it's about $150 billion. And basically what they're projecting here with this storm is around $190 billion. And that's also what the governor of Texas has been saying as well. And then also in this article in History, it's making the point that, and what the news stories are saying out there, is that about 2 million residents of Houston were affected by this Hurricane Harvey. In this History.com article, they're saying that's 4 times the size of what was in New Orleans of the population that was affected. And Hurricane Katrina, that happened back in 2005. So, 2 million people affected by a storm like that is a huge number. And to add on to that, we're looking at 40,000 homes have been lost, 1 million cars destroyed. And it's just a total crazy mess going on out there. And actually, one of my coworkers, his family still lives in Houston, working for the airlines, he fly for free. So his family's still trying to move up to Billings, but he flies back to Houston every other week. Well, he flew back to Houston, and he ended up getting stuck there because they shut down the airport. He couldn't get back. He couldn't make it back to work, so he had to give away his shifts. And him and his family, their house was actually okay. They're sitting up in a higher spot. But here they are. They're trying to sell their house so they can move up to Billings. And now you got this hurricane coming through. Thank goodness they didn't get destroyed in a flood. How would you ever try to, buy a house in Billings when your other one was destroyed? At least they got by lucky. But 2 million people out there were not that lucky. They literally lost everything. Just imagine your house. You think, oh yeah, you got all this stuff in your house. You got your nice big screen TV. You got your nice car. And a week later, all of that is destroyed. Everything you thought you had. And a lot of people, their assets, people don't really have investable assets. The things that they have, they own, their car, their house, that is what they have. And they're in debt just to have what they have right there. So when that stuff is destroyed, what do you got? They really have nothing. So it's just sad, and 2 million people are affected by this. And so, of course, with a storm like this, there's the political response to it. The politicians, oh yeah, we got to help, send emergency relief funds over to Houston. And what's going on in Congress is, they're basically trying to pass a bill. They're trying to pass funding for relief over for Houston. And just, here's a little quote I found interesting from John Cornyn. He's a senator from Texas. And unless we raise the debt ceiling, there will not be any way that Congress can actually appropriate that emergency funding and get it to the federal management agency to help those in so much need. And then this is from USA Today. I'm pulling a few of these things. So we have, the Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin. He warned that the government will run out of money and it won't be able to pay its bills by September 29th. So just in a few weeks, when my butt's in Cuba, seeing how communism works, well, it doesn't really work. Here's Congress saying, oh yeah, we're going to be broke by September 29th, which this is the same crap over and over again. We always hear crap about the debt ceiling. It's so annoying. And anyway, what Congress is trying to do, they're trying to tie this emergency relief spending to the debt limit. that sort of thing. So what Trump is requesting is a first installment of emergency spending of about $7.4 billion. And that's what they're trying to get through right now. So that's what the government's always trying to do. But think about it. Back in the day, the government never stepped in during natural disasters. I mean, aren't these local problems? Wait, sorry, I don't want to sound too callous here, but I guess, the government has really just screwed up, and everything is so centralized that everything is a federal issue. Here it is. Doesn't matter where you live. And look, if you want to help out a cause, you want to help the people that are struggling in Houston, by all means, yeah, there's so many places you can donate to. Bet you they have GoFundMe pages. All sorts of ways. But we got to get away from this mindset at some point that the federal government is not the answer. And how does the federal government get all this money to be so charitable, to be these superheroes? They take it from you and me. Montana, we have wildfires all over the place. As I said, it's like Beijing, frickin' China around here. But, all the focus is, on what's going on in Houston. And that's understandable because that is so devastating. And seeing those pictures and you hear about the horrible stories. So please, guys, don't take what I'm saying, don't take it the wrong way. I don't like things being so centralized. And as libertarians out there, it's never is the answer. That's how money gets pissed down the drain. That's exactly what happens every single time. And then you have problems with the insurance. What was it? 1 out of 6 people in Houston, they didn't have flood insurance. Well, when the government gets involved, they destroy the insurance market. And actually here, I got from Time Magazine, I found this kind of interesting. They're talking about government monopolies, and government has a monopoly in insurance. Let me just read, what is this? A few sentences here. As with most monopolies, the NFIP offers a one-size-fits-all product and faces little incentive to meet consumer demands. Its policies don't cover finished basements. For example, moreover, the NFIP does not price premiums like a private insurer. Its premiums do not reflect the true current risk of flood damage that encompasses all available information, such as updated meteorological and climate data, but instead merely uses historical data, which may not be all that relevant in areas where floodplains can change greatly over time. The result: property owners with low risk tend to pay too much, subsidizing policyholders facing a greater probability of floods. Wait, whoa. Can I just read that again? I swear that sounds like what the liberals out there, and actually now Republicans, since they seem to embrace Obamacare, that here the young are subsidizing the old. Okay, let's read that again. How does this relate to health insurance? The result: property owners with low risk tend to pay too much. Okay, like the young. Subsidizing policyholders facing a greater probability of floods. Old people, they tend to get a little bit more sick than, say, young people. And here we should all be paying the same amount for insurance premiums? Really? The government destroys anything it touches. It destroyed healthcare. It destroys the proper incentives for having flood insurance. There you go. That's why 1 out of 6 people in Houston had flood insurance. The government destroyed the proper incentives. The government destroys the market from functioning, just like it destroys the value of college. It destroys everything it touches. But I guess, you know what? I want to keep the show kind of short here. So when I heard the story, with Houston, with everything's going on, I start thinking about, obviously, you think about price gouging. I've done examples on the show talking about with Hurricane Katrina when that came through. A lot of people criticize price gouging. Oh my God, it's horrible. These guys are taking advantage of these people in this poor, horrible situation. Here you had rooms that were costing $60 a night, and now when there's a storm and these guys are trying to protect their family in a dry, safe place, these same rooms will cost $400 each. But what they don't realize is people economize, and that actually results in a more supply. You actually can save and help more people. So let's say a family of 4, maybe they're going to split up between 2 or 3 rooms because they're looking at $60 a night. Okay, $180, that's not too bad. But if you're paying $400, $500 for one night, maybe we can all cram in one room. Well, now, even though that hotel still has the same number of rooms, they didn't build any in just a day because they knew a hurricane was coming through. Well, because that family economized having one room instead of 3, that's now 2 more rooms that are available for some other family of 4, family of 5, family of 3. Let the market system work. Let prices function. When a case of bottled water, say it costs $3, $4, say if it jumps up to $20, $30, are people going to load up their truck with 20 cases of water? Well, we already know from statistics I brought up on the show, most people don't have more than $1,000 to their name. So sure as hell, they're not going to pay $1,000 just for water. Well, maybe those people will just buy a case or 2, just so they know, okay, maybe I just need enough so I can get through a week, maybe 2. That will buy me some time. At least I can protect my family there. They don't get obsessive. Now that's more water that's available for other people. But here is a point that I've thought about, and I always hear, it's just missed. People never bring it up in terms of price gouging. But it's like, okay, so say you're a store. There's a hurricane. The inventory that's in your store right now, the hurricane comes through, the prices are going up. The demand is through the roof. Now, you want to be able to get more supplies into your store. People that are providing you with product, they're going through a lot more risk to bring you those same products. There's supply shortages. It's harder to get that supply. It's not as steady. You're in a freaking flood. So with the inventory you currently have in the store, well, let's say you don't change your prices. Everything in the store, you kept it the same price as it was before the storm came through. Okay, people come in your store. All your shelves are empty. People bought it at the price it was before the storm. They didn't economize. Okay, I just was talking about that earlier. Okay, people just loaded up. Maybe it was just probably 20 people. Maybe they just were able to buy out the whole store basically. Well, you're left with nothing. Now say you want to bring in more supply into your store. You want to restock your shelves so you can help more starving people out there. More people who need generators or bottles of water, sandwiches, whatever it is. You don't have that products. And if you want the products, well, now you're trying to replace that inventory you already spent that you let go at the price it was available before. You now have to pay, 4 or 5 times what it was before to restock your shelves. But let's say if you raised your prices at the cost it is to replace your inventory. So automatically you're going to raise your prices up. Okay, people will economize a little bit more. But you also now, as a store owner, you have more capital, you have more savings, so now you are able to purchase more inventory at the higher price. Because luckily, okay, sure, you profited handsomely in the short term right there because of the storm. But you always have your shelves stocked full. Okay, so you won out there. But what happens when you're buying for your store $20 for cases of water? When now the storm's over, people are able to get water again. But those cases of water that are still sitting in your store, you paid $20 a case for. Well, now that the supply is back online, things are back to normal, you can't still charge $20 for those cases of water. People aren't going to pay that. When someone down the store, a Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco, they can get it for $4 again. So you're stuck with the bill. So you're speculating if you're going to keep piling up. And so it's important as a store owner, you're going to charge what it is to replace your inventory. So prices are functioning. So that's one point I never hear made when people talk about price gouging, how the pricing mechanism really works. The ability of store owners or whoever it is, they're able to replace their inventory to be able to buy the goods that are at the higher prices. So anyway, guys, I mean, there's so many directions you can go with this. And actually, another story I just read. What was it? JetBlue? Dang, I could have this wrong. Crap. One of the airlines, they're flying out of Miami. What they did is they capped their price. They capped the price of their fares. So usually last minute fares going out of Miami are like $300 or whatever. But here they're capping it at $99. So here they are, the airline is self-imposing a price limit. But if you look at this in terms of the business perspective, okay, yeah, planes are going to fill up. But if you let prices function, prices, say, went really through the roof, the people who wanted out of Houston the most would be able to get out. But now when you have a price set at $99, you got other people getting out. Maybe people who didn't value getting out as much as others, say there's family emergencies, whatever it was. And now everybody's on that $99 playing field. But you could look at it, okay, well, hey, look, you're kind of helping the poor compared to the rich. But from the business's perspective, you are now, it's a smart PR move. It's just like, look, I'm not taking advantage of people like everybody else is. Everybody else, they're evil price gougers, but not us. We are looking and we are thinking about our customers. We care about you guys. We don't want to screw any of you over. We're actually, instead of keeping our rates normally where they usually are, we're going to have them lower than they normally are. So, I mean, just the positive PR they can get from that, I think it is probably a brilliant move on their part. I can't remember the airline. I want to say it was JetBlue, but I could be wrong there. I wish I had the story pulled up. It's on my iPad. But anyway, guys, I thought that was kind of interesting, just kind of relate to price gouging here. So yeah, it's important, whatever you're reading and whatever, whatever news story, look at the angle. Okay, from the business's perspective, how are they benefiting from this? Because people who just think in the short term, just trying to make a quick buck, those people in the long run, they end up screwing themselves over every single time. It's playing the long game. And reputation is crucial. Screwing people over in the short term. You want to be a car dealer who screws people over, who sells people lemons all day long? That word's going to go around. You're not going to be around. And that's why I've stressed before that one of the best self-regulations out there in a free market is reputation. Because you want to protect your reputation, and a business's reputation is protected by selling good quality goods, right? Just like, look at when you go shop on Amazon, what's one of the first things you do? You're looking at a bunch of different products. Which product do you end up buying? Think about it. What do? You read customer reviews. You typically, I bet, just like with me, I typically buy the product, even though they look very comparable, the one that has the best reviews, looking at the star ratings. You're just looking through randomly different comments, people's problems they've had with it or whatever. So that is how things work in a free market. And natural disasters like this, here we have, Paul Krugman, whatever you want to call him. He stressed years ago, we want to get this economy going. We should have aliens invade us. Then we can rebuild the cities and it'll be a great jobs program. Well, here we have the worst, most costliest natural disaster ever. It just took over first place from Hurricane Katrina back in 2005. And now, well, look, Keynesians should be cheering. We now have to rebuild Houston. We need 1 million more cars to replace the ones that were lost. 40,000 homes have to be rebuilt, and just all the other jobs are going to come through. But this is what's missed. And all you guys listening to the show, you guys know this already. Frederick Bastiat, the seen and the unseen. Okay, what's seen? Okay, great. You got a bunch of new jobs because of the natural disaster. The unseen is what could have been bought. What growth areas could we have had? What other products could have been purchased? What other investments could have been made, but now can't be made because that money is now going to be into rebuilding what was already built. How does that make you better off? It doesn't make you better off. It's how Henry Hazlitt, in his amazing book, one of the shortest, best books on economics you could ever read, Economics in One Lesson. I think it's chapter 1. He's talking about the guy who throws a brick through the window of the baker's business. And instead of the baker say he was going to buy a new suit with his money, he now has to spend his money, his savings, his capital, that maybe he's going to improve his business or whatever. He now has to spend that and pay for a glazer to put up and put a new window in. Okay, sure, you provided employment for the glazer, but you don't have a new suit. You just replaced what you already had before. That doesn't make society better off. It's always, natural disasters are always a negative. Economists like Krugman, that's why he's a clown. To think that there's some sort of prosperity from disasters, you are freaking insane. And that is why I have to start off these shows. And I have to making sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world, because a lot of Keynesians out there who think like Paul Krugman, they are crazy. They are insane. That think like that. That natural disasters, oh man, it's a jobs program. Holy smokes. Wow. People think like 5-year-olds. It's amazing. Well, anyway, guys, that is all I have for you on today's show. If you want to catch up on old episodes, just go to justinmooreshow.com, more spelled M-O-H-R. Also, you can donate to me directly via PayPal if you want, over $50. If you donate that, I send you my bonus episodes. You're in the drawing for the silver coin that I'll be doing during the right before the Contra cruise. And also, you could join Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom through my link. That's another way you can get my bonus episodes. So any of those ways can help me out. Oh yeah, and also, if you buy your Amazon goods through my site directly, I get a small commission back. It costs you nothing extra. So guys, I thank you so much for being here. I will talk with all you guys next week, and I'm looking forward to it. This is Justin Moore, signing off.